It did.
I think that I've now, at 63 years old, suddenly owned that it's not a bad thing to speak your voice.
There was like photos with her and Prince Andrew way back in the day when she was like in her early 20s.
Sarah Ferguson, the Duchess of York, just did the unthinkable. She dropped brand new, unedited photos from Meghan Markle's infamous yacht days with Prince Andrew. And the timing couldn't have been worse. Within minutes, social media exploded. Hashtags everywhere, podcasts rushing to go live, and royal reporters abandoning their weekends to cover the chaos. But the one person everyone wanted to hear from, Meghan Markle, was nowhere to be found. According to a source close to her Monteceto circle, that silence wasn't peace.
Sitting in front of you, did you take it?
Absolutely, yes, and it was given to me.
It was heartbreak. She didn't see this coming, not from Fergie, the insider whispered. And that's what made it sting even more. Fergie and Meghan were never best friends, but there was always an unspoken rule among royal exes. You don't expose each other. You keep the past polished, private, and hidden behind palace walls. But Fergie just torched that code. The first photo hit the internet like a slap. Meghan laughing on a Mediterranean yacht, drink in hand, surrounded by what tabloids politely called international elites. And there he was, a young, tanned Prince Andrew, looking way too comfortable beside her. Then came the second photo, and that one made jaws drop. Meghan wasn't just mingling, she was standing next to Andrew, whispering something, her hand brushing his arm like they shared a secret.
Long time to sort of, in the old days I would have gone, oh shush, no, I'm not a rebel.
Social media detectives went crazy. Some said it was innocent, others swore the body language told a whole different story. But the bigger question wasn't about Meghan, it was about Fergie. Why now? Why her? Why drop the bomb herself? Insiders claim Fergie had simply had enough. For years, she'd been dragged into Andrew's messes, blamed for scandals she didn't start, and constantly compared to other duchesses. But what really pushed her over the edge, sources say, was Harry and Meghan painting themselves as victims while skipping over Meghan's old royal connections. Fergie wanted the world to see the full picture, not the version Meghan carefully crafted. And she didn't leak the photos quietly. Oh no. She posted them herself with a caption that hit harder than any royal statement in years. Some memories should never be rewritten. Boom! That wasn't polite palace shade. That was Fergie unleashed, unfiltered, fed up, and ready for war. Within minutes, Meghan's name shot to the top of trending lists across the UK, and suddenly everyone was asking the same thing. What else is hiding behind those so-called forgotten memories? It wasn't just trending in the UK. It exploded across the US too. The internet split straight down the middle. On one side, fans defended Meghan with everything they had, claiming the photos were ancient history. Just a young actress networking like anyone else trying to make it big.
On Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's former home, Frogmore Cottage.
But the other side demanded answers. Real ones. How did Meghan know Andrew? What was she doing on that yacht? And why had that entire chapter vanished from every interview, every doc, every speech she ever gave? But the most dramatic reaction didn't come from the public. It came from Meghan herself. Behind the tall glass windows and towering hedges of her Monteceto mansion, sources say she was pacing, furious, panicked, and completely shattered. For years, she'd built the perfect narrative, polished, inspiring, untouchable. And in a single night, Fergie had blown it to pieces. She felt blindsided, one insider said. What hurt most? She couldn't fight back without making it worse. Because Fergie wasn't some gossip blogger or random commentator. She was royalty. A duchess with status, credibility, and receipts. Real receipts. And apparently, those photos were just the beginning. Then came the twist that sent shockwaves through royal circles. Whispers that Jeffrey Epstein and King Charles were being dragged into the conversation. The king had even been heckled during a public appearance. And insiders claimed those two leaked photos weren't random drops. They were part of a much larger private archive Fergie had kept for decades. Once the images went viral, rumors spread fast. People swore Fergie had more, way more, material that could completely rewrite Meghan's pre-Harry history. Meghan's team went into full-blown crisis mode, frantically calling lawyers, PR strategists, anyone who could stop the wildfire. Meanwhile, Fergie stayed silent, calm, and totally unapologetic. As one royal editor said bluntly, "You can fight the tabloids, you can fight the palace, but you can't fight a duchess with a grudge." And that's exactly what this felt like. A royal vendetta gone public. Fergie hadn't just dropped photos, she detonated a narrative bomb, one that shook royal walls and sent Buckingham into quiet panic. Advisors scrambled behind the scenes, drafting statements, sending encrypted messages, and reminding everyone of the monarchy's oldest rule: when scandal hits, silence is strategy. Behind that calm royal front, the storm was already roaring. Because if Fergie had more, and every whisper said she did, the world hadn't seen anything yet. Every move Meghan's team made was tracked, dissected, and analyzed like a royal chess game.
Were told to vacate Windsor's royal lodge, a source close.
Meanwhile, Fergie stayed ruthless, dropping those yacht photos in slow, calculated waves, each one hitting harder than the last. The palace stayed silent, but behind those golden gates, they were watching everything. Public opinion began to twist fast. The images shattered Meghan's carefully built image of grace and philanthropy, showing her instead as carefree, indulgent, and dangerously close to Andrew. The contrast was brutal. Inside her Monteceto mansion, Meghan's crisis team scrambled, calls to PR experts, lawyers, and media strategists flying in all directions. Draft statements were written, deleted, rewritten. Every word was a trap. Too defensive? She'd look guilty. Too cold? She'd look arrogant. And just when her team thought they could breathe, Fergie struck again. Another photo, another headline. Each one timed perfectly to ruin whatever calm Meghan's side tried to create. One shot showed her laughing beside Andrew. Another, an elegant, candid moment, but stripped of context, it looked loaded. The internet went wild. Commentators, influencers, and royal watchers zoomed in on every detail, every glance, every gesture. Inside Meghan's camp, chaos ruled. Advisors argued over strategy. Should she speak or stay silent? Some pushed for a calm statement about charity and compassion. Others warned that silence might look smarter. Meghan, sources say, was overwhelmed. Furious one minute, heartbroken the next. She felt betrayed, convinced the leaks were meant to destroy her. Fergie, though, she was in full control. Her timing, her precision, her quiet smirk. It was all deliberate. Even the palace communications office struggled to contain the storm, repeating their usual script. No comment on private matters. Respect for privacy. Focus on charity work. But those empty phrases only made things worse. Everyone knew something serious was happening behind the scenes. Clips of Meghan laughing on the yacht flooded timelines. Analysts pointed out the jarring contrast, her public message of modesty versus these glossy glimpses of luxury. Slowly, a new narrative took shape, one that questioned everything about her story. And Fergie? She didn't just leak photos, she rewrote the conversation, one shocking image at a time. Photographers and commentators pounced like sharks. Every frame, every smile, every flick of Meghan's hair became proof of something, or nothing, depending on who you asked. Her tilted hat, her carefree laugh, her sunlit pose, all turned into fuel for viral debates across newsrooms and social feeds. Inside Monteceto, Meghan's team snapped into emergency mode. They rolled out a three-step plan. Step 1, internal review. Every rumor, every image, every headline was tracked and rated by threat level. Step 2, external influence. Friendly media quietly briefed, shifting attention toward Meghan's charity work while burying those yacht shots. Step 3, public statements, endlessly rewritten drafts, polished until every word could survive scrutiny from tabloids and palace experts alike. Meanwhile, the palace moved with its usual cold precision. No public response, no emotion, no leaks, just silent control. Behind closed doors, trusted aides reached out to elite media figures, testing the temperature and steering conversations away from the storm. The focus subtly shifted to William, Catherine, and royal charity events, painting the crown as calm and untouchable. The message was clear. Let Meghan's drama burn itself out. The monarchy remains unshaken. But inside Meghan's camp, the pressure was crushing. Sources say she felt betrayed and cornered, convinced the leaks were meant to destroy her reputation for good. Every social thread turned personal. People dissecting her tone, her gestures, her body language like it was evidence. For someone who had spent years building a flawless, controlled public persona, this was her nightmare come alive. And Fergie? She wasn't slowing down. Each new photo came with sly captions and perfectly timed drops that reignited the fire every time things started to quiet down. Some headlines were furious, others mocking, and many downright scandalous. Social media turned into a battlefield, with users taking sides and royal experts speculating whether this would drive a wedge between Meghan and Harry.
Epstein, and King Charles has very much been dragged into this. The king has been heckled during an official...
Inside Buckingham, quiet memos flew between departments, reminders about protocol, discretion, and maintaining the family's dignity above all else. The institution must outlast the noise, one insider whispered. The rule was simple: stay still, stay silent, and wait for the world to move on. Meanwhile, Meghan's team kept rewriting plans. PR drafts, legal threats, media pushes, all tested, all scrapped. Litigation was risky. Statements could backfire. Silence could be seen as guilt. Every move was a gamble. But one thing was certain: as long as Fergie kept that photo drip going, Meghan's calm, royal image was slipping further from her grasp. By now, the battle lines were drawn. This wasn't just gossip anymore. It was war over perception. Fergie had turned Meghan's carefree moments into a public spectacle, flipping the script and forcing Meghan's team into constant defense. The palace, ever composed, stood quietly in the background, radiating calm while watching every move like a hawk. Meghan's private memories had become headlines, her once polished image suddenly questioned at every turn. Fergie's timed releases made sure the story never died, each drop keeping Meghan's name trending, every silence from her side fueling more speculation. Behind the palace walls, strategy meetings ran deep into the night. No emotional reactions, no dramatic statements, just quiet precision. Advisors carefully studied each new image, preparing for potential fallout but never breaking protocol. The crown would not be dragged into chaos. Meanwhile, Meghan's world was spiraling. Her team, once confident in its PR mastery, was fracturing under pressure. Some advisors pushed for a bold public statement. Others demanded silence, fearing that any comment would only legitimize Fergie's narrative. Meghan herself, insiders said, was exhausted, swinging between anger and disbelief as her carefully curated reputation slipped through her fingers. Social media didn't let up either. Memes, edits, and hot takes filled every feed, each one twisting the narrative a little more. Fergie, watching it all unfold, dropped subtle new insights just when things began to quiet down, enough to reignite the flames without overplaying her hand. The palace, calm on the surface but fully alert behind closed doors, continued its age-old playbook: dignity, distance, and discretion. Their message was simple: the monarchy endures, no matter the noise. For Meghan, though, this had become something far deeper. It wasn't just about yacht photos anymore. It was about power, truth, and who gets to tell the story first. And as the weeks dragged on, one question lingered louder than ever. Had Fergie already written the ending before Meghan even had a chance to speak? What started as gossip had now spiraled into a full-blown PR nightmare. Social media, tabloids, and celebrity podcasts were all feasting on the chaos, and Fergie, sensing the panic, turned up the heat. She began dropping extra evidence, bit by bit, each post paired with sly captions and teasing hints that kept people guessing without ever confirming anything. It was genius manipulation, and the internet couldn't get enough. Every post became a trap. If Meghan's team defended her too strongly, it looked like guilt. If they brushed it off, it came off as arrogance. Backed into a corner, her legal and PR advisors launched a massive counterattack, hiring top consultants, pushing carefully staged photos of Meghan doing charity work, and flooding social media with polished images to drown out the yacht scandal. But no matter how hard they tried, the public stayed glued to the controversy. The tabloids turned it into daily theater, part outrage, part fascination. Late-night hosts joked about it, influencers analyzed body language, and even royal watchers couldn't look away. The palace, however, stayed perfectly still. Not a word, not a denial, just quiet redirection. Press releases about William, Catherine, and royal charities, all reminding the world that the monarchy was focused on service. Their silence was strategy, and it worked. Behind the scenes, Meghan's advisors were losing sleep. Every new drop from Fergie hit like a punch. The captions painted Meghan as scheming, ambitious, maybe even manipulative, the opposite of the kind, graceful image she'd worked so hard to build. Fergie's timing was brutal, releasing each post during peak media hours, so every outlet picked it up at once. It was surgical precision. Analysts couldn't help but admit, Fergie had mastered the slow burn scandal. By releasing her evidence in waves, she forced Meghan's team into a constant state of reaction. They considered lawsuits, but advisors warned it would backfire, making Meghan look vindictive and keeping the story alive for months. Optics mattered more than truth now. So instead, her team tried subtle tactics: calm interviews, charity appearances, and warm family photos meant to reset public memory. But it wasn't working. The internet was locked on the yacht photos, dissecting every frame like a crime scene. Each day brought a new wave of memes, analysis, and late-night punchlines. And as the laughter got louder, Meghan's once perfect composure began to crack. The image of control replaced by the image of someone trying desperately to hold on. While Meghan's world spun out of control, the palace played it smart. Silent, steady, and strategic. Advisors quietly coordinated with trusted media allies to shift attention toward royal charity events, school visits, and ceremonial duties. The crown didn't need to react, it just had to keep moving. The contrast was brutal. Meghan in chaos, the monarchy calm and unbothered. It sent a powerful message. Scandals come and go, but the institution stands tall. Inside Monteceto, though, panic was setting in. Meghan's PR team was burning out under non-stop pressure. Every photo, post, or statement had to be reviewed a dozen times before going public. Too emotional, too defensive, too perfect, every word mattered. Sources say Meghan's emotions swung from anger to exhaustion. And still, Fergie kept her drip feed attack alive, dropping one image after another like clockwork. Then, something shifted. A few journalists began asking bigger questions. Was this really just about the photos? Or about Meghan's long game for influence, fame, and control? Analysts called it a turning point. The scandal was no longer just gossip. It had evolved into a cultural case study on ambition, branding, and power inside a centuries-old institution. For Meghan's team, it became a nightmare. They weren't just fighting rumors anymore, they were fighting perception. Fergie had mastered the tempo of chaos, deciding when to strike and when to pull back. The palace remained motionless, letting Meghan's every reaction fuel the fire. Public fascination grew darker. The yacht pictures flooded social media again and again, reinterpreted, memed, and mocked. Late-night hosts joked about her royal luxury, and columnists questioned whether her private choices clashed with her humanitarian persona. Even fans who once defended her started second-guessing. Her team tried to counter fast, releasing polished photos of Meghan at charity events, hugging children, and delivering speeches about empathy and equality. But every post brought the same replies. The yacht, the yacht, the yacht. The internet refused to move on. Tensions boiled over inside her circle. Some advisors pushed for a bold statement to end the rumors. Others demanded silence, saying anything she said would backfire. Every strategy felt like walking on glass. One wrong move and the internet would tear her apart again. Through it all, Fergie stayed in the shadows, patient, precise, and ruthless. Each new post came right when Meghan's image started to recover, dragging her back into the headlines. It was timing so sharp it felt personal, and it left one chilling truth hanging over everything. Meghan was no longer controlling her story, Fergie was. Fergie never revealed everything at once, and that was her genius. She kept the story alive, twisting and growing with every new wave of public reaction. Each drop reignited the fire, sending Meghan's PR team scrambling to contain the chaos. Meanwhile, the palace moved like clockwork, calm, quiet, and impossibly strategic. Advisors worked behind the scenes, boosting coverage of royal charities, hospital visits, and state events to subtly shift focus away from the scandal. The message was clear. The crown stays composed, even when others crumble. The contrast couldn't have been starker. Meghan's distress was visible, her moves desperate and reactive, while the monarchy radiated its signature calm authority. Public opinion fractured into two camps. Those who saw Meghan as a victim of invasion, and those who viewed her as entitled and reckless. Talk shows, podcasts, and online panels tore the story apart from every angle, turning it into a full-blown cultural debate about privilege, ambition, and accountability. Inside Meghan's mansion, exhaustion was setting in. Advisors spent sleepless nights drafting statements, monitoring hashtags, and preparing for possible interviews that never came. Legal experts weighed their options: sue and risk making it worse, or stay silent and let the story rot in the headlines. Every path was a trap. Every move could trigger a new wave of backlash. One misplaced word, one wrong tone, one poorly timed post could spark another frenzy. The pressure on Meghan was suffocating. What began as humiliation had turned into a public reckoning, one threatening her reputation, her relationships, even her future influence. The palace, meanwhile, stayed untouched. Royal aides orchestrated a flawless PR symphony, emphasizing stability, duty, and tradition, while letting Meghan's scandal burn itself out in plain view. They didn't need to attack. They simply outlasted. By projecting dignity and continuity, the monarchy reminded everyone who still held the power. Private storms might roar, but the crown never trembles. And as weeks turned into months, one truth became undeniable. Meghan hadn't just been caught in a scandal. She had misjudged the brutal balance between personal freedom and royal expectation, and now the entire world was watching her pay the price. The yacht photos that once seemed harmless had now become symbols of power, privilege, and the clash between Meghan's two worlds, the private citizen and the royal she once was. Her team tried everything to redirect attention, doubling down on messages of compassion and charity. Carefully staged interviews, polished public appearances, and photo ops of her visiting schools and global summits filled her social feeds. But no matter how hard they tried, the media refused to move on. Those yacht images just wouldn't die. Sources say the stress was unbearable. Each new article or viral post triggered waves of panic inside her camp. Advisors scrambled to protect her, but it was like trying to stop a flood with a paper wall. Every gesture, every expression, even her body language was dissected online, people searching for signs of guilt or defiance. And Fergie? She remained untouchable. Her timing was flawless, her tone controlled, her strategy ruthless. She never dumped everything at once. She released pieces, just enough to keep Meghan cornered. Every attempt Meghan made to change the story was instantly undercut by another leak. Another reminder. The yacht photos became a permanent stain, a modern royal myth that just wouldn't fade. The palace, still silent, watched with that same cold precision it had mastered for centuries. No emotion, no denial, No reaction, just composure. They didn't need to attack. They only needed to wait, because the longer the story dragged on, the clearer it became. Meghan was fighting a machine she couldn't control. This wasn't just about scandal anymore. It was about image, influence, and how far ambition could stretch before it snapped. In the end, Meghan's PR empire couldn't win. The story was too big, too charged, too perfectly timed against her. Fergie's slow burn strategy had rewritten her legacy in the eyes of millions. And under the quiet shadow of the palace, one truth echoed loudest. No one, not even the most famous, can fully control how the world decides to see them. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into the wild world of fame and power. See you in the next one.